Earlier this month, Tri-Cities residents packed a meeting room at the Coquitlam Public Library to listen to speakers at an event that was billed as the Tri-Cities Friendship Center, A Journey's Beginning. The event introduced the community to the board of the newly formed Tri-Cities Friendship Center Society, whose goal it is to open a friendship center here in the Tri-Cities that will be rooted in healing, celebration, and unity between Indigenous and non-Indigenous neighbors. Tri-Cities Community TV was there and brings you this coverage.
And that's the thing about the Tri-City Friendship Center. It's a grassroots, yes, I said it, grassroots. So MCFD and government, all those guys, they gotta wait at the door, because we're going to open up the door for you and you. Even you, ma'am. Definitely you. You got the seat at the front of the table. We even have amazing allies and leaders from Fraser Northwest Division of Family Practitioners and Clinics. I said it right. Yes. And of course, what's a Tri-City gathering without Tri-City Community TV? Yes. Not tuwina linaha, kipaha sawatin, tatsena wichwagan, ninashkawan. Ape, that means sit. Astam means come. Please come, sit and join us. Ninashkamun. Can you guys say that with me? Ninashkamun. Oh yeah, I love that. I feel it in my bones. Ninashkamun. That means I am grateful. Thank you. It means so much more, because it means love. And that's what we're going to bring today. Love is in that food. Love is in this room. Now, Creator, thank you for bringing this fellowship together. Thank you for wrapping your wings of protection around this room. Thank you for keeping medicine in so we can move forward in a good way. 1 step together, 2 steps with love, and 3 times for the possibility of more. All my relations, Ninashkuman, Friendship Center. What is that to you? I need you to think about that. Even when there are people out there getting food, and that's okay. Get your food. If you want, you can get up and get some more. We want you to fill your body, your mind, your soul. Because that's what a Friendship Center is. Myself in Northern Alberta, back in the days when I had to use my old dog sled team, and I would mush my way into whatever little town I was. The first thing I would do is stop outside this little building that would always have a little white hand shaking a red hand. That's the old 1970s. Yes, I am that old, ma'am. I know you're looking at me going, how old is that guy? 1970s. And I remember those Friendship Centers. A cookin would be sitting there doing a little bit of beading. A couple uncles would be over there playing some cards, some euchre, or maybe shooting a pool if it was one of the nicer Friendship Centers. There was always some stale bread and donuts and some watery coffee. But to us, that was a banquet. And you know what? Because we don't have a lot of funding, that probably is what we're going to have for you guys. Stale bread and watery coffee made by Rochelle. Now, although it might sound dire, that's where home was. That was the seed that was dropped into my life. And no matter where I was, Vancouver, Hastings and Commercial, if I was in Wally, Fratka, if I was in Mission, no matter where I was across this amazing Turtle Island, I would always find my feet, would always take me to a Friendship Center. And one of our dreams of our leader, our executive director, that's why he has a big E on his chest, is to have our own Tri-Cities Friendship Center. We need it. Put your hands together if you think we need a Friendship Center. We do. Because we need it, because you know what? If we were in a Friendship Center right now, when I did the blessing for the food, I would have pulled out my shell and my eagle feather. I pull that feather out. I hold it up high with some pride, as I am Indigenous. And I burn our medicine. We can't do that here. It's a library. It's going to freak all those people out. Right? But when we get our own home with your help, then we can burn our medicine. We can do our prayers. We can live Indigenous. Do you want to be Indigenous?
Yeah.
Then let's be Indigenous. Let's be Indigenous together. Nutsamak. One heart, one mind. We're going to have one of our amazing speakers come and talk about that, so we can move forward in a good way by doing a land acknowledgement and telling another story. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Hereditary Chief Edward Hall. Ed.
Thank you, Ernie, for that wonderful introduction and enlightenment on the explanation of what a Friendship Center is. Ike Swale, Iasapoil, CMCAS, Hapelamed Hall, Tunnisweek, Talitz, and Coquitlam Tummel, Mission City, Skowlitz, and Auburn. OCM to CS, Eatonalton, Mach, Nitinabisap, Coquitlam, Coquitlam Tummel, shared by many. Good day, how are you all? I introduced you to my ancestral Hunkaminam translation of Schapelam, and my English given name is Ed Hall. Honored friends, relatives, and visitors, welcome to the ancestral unceded lands of the Coquitlam people, shared by many. And Ami Sep Coquitlam Iatana Coquitlam Public Library. By Sepka, to the library and all the good folks here that arranged to work with us on this for this one special event. It's very historical in the moment. I want to make a couple of acknowledgements before I go on a little bit more here. Absent today is a really good lady. She's a co-founder of this Tri-Cities Friendship Center, along with myself there, Vanessa Wideski. She's away in Victoria right now, meeting with the health minister, and hopefully she's twisting some arms there and getting some funds moving around in the fiscal new year and whatnot. And, yeah, and I'd like to acknowledge too that my elder mother, she's the matriarch in the community. She's unable to be here right now because she got ambulanced over to RCH this morning, and so she's in good hands right now, being looked after over there. And to all of the others who wanted to come here, but they had other prior commitments, Coquitlam City Civic Leadership, there's councillors there that had intention of coming here, but they had other things that had to take over the evening's plans. And I'd like to acknowledge John Kishore, our first MLA of Aboriginal Affairs of British Columbia, is present with us. And former LA and many other hats. Finn Donnelly is over there in the back row. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming out. And also I'd like to thank Grand Chief Clarence Cat Penier and his wife Nancy for coming out. He's also my paternal uncle. Uncle, good to see you. Thank you. And I would like to acknowledge all the folks that took time out of their day. And I would like to acknowledge all of the new board members that we're forming a team with, and also my Coquitlam co-members. Marie Aldemarie and her daughter Tina are here. And if there's anybody I missed, all of the good fine work of the people behind the cameras, thank you for picking up some pictures here for making a good report back. And yeah, so just to make sure, for those who don't want to be on a film record, you have to have a red sticker there, and somebody will see that, because there'll be probably people going around the room making sure that that they can take pictures or not if you're wearing a little sticker. And yeah, I don't think there's anybody that I've missed. I just want to say thank you all for coming out. Hey Setka, thank you all.
Now, of course, the dream was with Ed for many years ago. And he probably kept the next person up at night going, come on, I want this, I want that. Out. Of course, I mean for the Friendship Center. And of course, that other person was the other driving force. And that is Gail. Gail, come on up. And what Gail's going to do is, after she's finished, she's going to introduce another board member. Gail's going to introduce herself and tell why she's up here. Isn't that a good thing?
Hello all, thank you for coming. My name is Gail Sidhu. Yes, I am Ed's partner. He does not always listen to what I want, but I'm really happy that we're here today and I can help him with his dream of building a friendship center in the Tri-Cities area, and appreciate all of your support. So I grew up in a small town in Merritt. I've grown up with many other First Nations, and found out that Aunt Nancy here has relatives down there in Colchena too. So we're kind of connected in other ways. I am descendant from India. My grandfather came in 1907, and he went back to get married, and my father arrived in Canada when he was just a toddler. So technically I am first generation, but I grew up second generation. I was born here, and my mom was also from India. The reason I wanted to be part of this is I always spent my life as a person who helps others. And I think that we need to do a lot more work to help all of our Indigenous people in Canada and help any of those that need help, like the homeless. So hopefully we can meet some of those demands and provide what we can provide. So I'd now like to introduce you to one of my co-workers. I work at Coast Mental Health, another director from the Tri-Cities Friendship Center, and that is Shailene Ennis.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you can get all the board members to come up real quick, maybe these nice people will take a picture of us. Now, once again, put your hands together for the Tri-City Friendship Center Board of Directors! Thank you. All right, thank you so much. Please put your hands together. It is an honor, a privilege to have Grand Chief Penner come up. Woo-hoo. All right, isn't that cool? Marie, you're going to be on TV where you should be. We need more beautiful people like you. All right, now, moving on, we want to meet the rest of the team. Oh my God. I hope Grand Chief Clarence Penner doesn't mind coming up a little bit early. And the hush falls over the room. Is he in our room out back? Right there. Oh, where? There he is! Come on, guys, I'm Cree, so I was expecting a big war bonnet. I'm standing there all majestic like. But no, please put your hands together. It is an honor, a privilege to have Grand Chief Penner come up.
ACM, Hiawam Total Squee, Coquitlam, tos College, tos Gui, Tulitza Quastalo, Tulitza West College, Tulitza Coquitlam, equals Coquitlam. My two names are Hialam Till, or Coquitlam Till Scowlitz. Said I come from Scowlitz, I'm Stalo, and I'm Coquitlam. And I'm happy to be here. My son actually volunteered me to come out talking to your cousin Ed, and he never really told me what I'm going to talk about. But just to give you an idea of who I am, went to a residential school for 10 years in St. Mary's in Mission. I did grade 11 in Kamloops, stayed at the school, but went to school in town at St. Anne's Academy. And my wife, she went 13 years in Kamloops. And that's one of the things that you should be learning about in terms of if you have your friendship center and you're sitting around a table, talk to some of the elders about what it is they went through when they went to residential school. You know, you hear a lot about the bad parts about sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, spiritual abuse. But you also hear about the friendships that were made by different people from different nations. Like at St. Mary's, we had people coming from throughout Coast Salish territory, Lillooet territory, Nechonlith territory, you know, so we're able to meet a lot of different people from different places. And you learn some friendships with them. And one of the other things is you get involved in a lot of different sports. We had soccer. It was one of the best sports for us in the valley because we became good soccer players. And we had basketball, we had softball, track and field, boxing, gymnastics. So, you know, all those kinds of things were available to people. But when people went through the abuses, that's what led us to intergenerational trauma. Our children and our grandchildren learn the things that were the bad parts of us. Like I never learned how to be a parent in residential school. Those priests, brothers, or nuns couldn't teach me to be a parent. So, you know, it's one of the things in our culture is we learn from the grandparents. They look after the children, while the parents are busy doing other things, making sure that we have the food and the plants and things like that. So they were raised a little different. And when we were parents, we were trying to raise them a little different. And when you look at what happened out of the residential school system, you look at the bad statistics that are out there. Why is 50% of the women in the prisons from our people? Why is 25 to 30% of the males our people? Why do our people have high statistics in drug overdoses, alcoholism, physical violence? And that's because when we get out of those institutions, we're not prepared for life. So we find ways to cope, and some of that comes through alcoholism, drug use. I was an alcoholic for about 30 years, and that's what I taught my son and daughter, because they could see me drinking passing out those kinds of things. So what did they learn? They learned to drink too. Sometimes use drugs. And that's the way things happen. But it's changing. And it's taking a long time to change. And that's one of the reasons why you need to have a friendship center in Tri-Cities, so you can sit around a table and share experiences, share how you want to work together to make sure that you have a better life for your children and grandchildren and 7 generations into the future. Because that's one of the things that we learn about Tamayuka, 7th generation. We have to look back 7 generations and how our great-great-great-grandfathers, grandmothers lived. And we have to look forward to our 7th generation to try to figure out, can we leave them the same kind of life that they experienced, we're experiencing? But when you look around today, what is our world like? We're not going to leave them a good life. Your great-great-great-grandchildren are going to be with ours, trying to survive. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. So, creating friendship center, how can we work together to make a better life for all of our future generations? Not just ours, yours as well. And one of the things I've been doing as part of my life, I spent about 2-3 years with Anglican Church in Agassiz, bringing different speakers in from our different communities, talking about different aspects of our lives. So we're trying to teach them how we can learn to respect the land, learn to respect their resources. Take only what you need. Use what you take. Don't destroy. So there are some of those are all of the messages that come from our older generations. It's how we have to look after things. And one of the things that we're doing with University of Fraser Valley, we have a CIA program where we ask people if they want to join the program, they got to pay a fee. And we usually limit to 100. This is the 3rd year of it. In the same kind of process, we invite speakers to come in to talk to those people about who we are, why we're the way we are, what it is we want to do, what changes we want to see. So those are always important to try to reach out to people, because the only way we're ever going to change anything is if we understand each other. And you'll never understand us unless you sit down with us. Break bread, as they say. And it's going to take time. It's going to take your children, your grandchildren, to be able to do the same thing. Because without that going down from generation to generation, you can actually see what's going to happen to our world. Because they want to exploit everything, which destroys the land, water, and air. Then what do we do for food? Where is it going to come from? We have to be able to learn to grow our own. Make sure that land is there for us to do that. So there's a lot of education to be done, not only with ourselves, but our neighbors who are part of the extraction business. You know, people talk about us being anti-development because you see it in the press and hear people, oh, those guys don't like it. It's not anti-development. It's development with proper conditions on how to try to protect the environment. Take things a lot slower than what you're doing now. You know, we're having a big squabble, or Alberta's having a big squabble with the rest of the country because they want to continue with oil extraction because it means money to all of those corporations. But how many of you ever flew over the northern part of Alberta? A number of years ago, I flew from Germany, northern part of Alberta, down, and I could see the tar sands black, a lot. So what does that do when you're destroying all that land, all that water? And the wind carries some of the smoke and chemicals and whatever comes out of those towers, and it spreads across the northern parts of the provinces. I had a friend of mine talk about it. He was muzzled. He couldn't tell anybody that the lakes were getting destroyed in northern Saskatchewan with stuff coming from Alberta. So, you know, those things are happening, so I could talk a little more about. One of the things I really want to impress on you is that friendship centers are good. They've had one in Mission for, I really don't know how long. I go there occasionally and talk to some of the elders that are there, just to visit them, because a lot of those people in Mission, when they developed a center, a lot of the people came from what we call head of the lakes, Harrison Lake. People came down and lived in Mission to school and stayed down there and made their livelihood with jobs and education and whatever. But they created that friendship center, and they have weekly gatherings with whoever wants to come from out of the street. Share a meal, talk about different issues. And maybe I'll mention a bit about one of the things I'm doing. I'm working with Stala Tribal Council, even though I'm an old guy, I'm still working it. And our responsibility from the Tribal Council is to interview people who went to St. Mary's to find out if they're willing to tell their stories, whatever their stories are. And a lot of them don't want to tell their story because it's too painful for them. And I can relate that to the rest of my 5 brothers and 3 sisters. They all took their stories to the grave with them. And as a family, we never could sit around a table and talk about what it is that went on with each one of us. We couldn't do that. So, you know, it's always a tough thing, but you have to learn the truth. And it comes from people like me, my wife, and others who went to the residential schools. Children are able to tell a little different story based on what we couldn't teach them and based on how we treated them. So those are some of the things that go on. And one of the other things that about our Stala Nation, our 2 organizations, we work together. Stala Nation is responsible for doing all of the heavy research for all of the documents out of every place that they can imagine, provincial government, churches, federal government. And a lot of the stuff goes to Winnipeg. Truth and Reconciliation Commission gather a lot of information. That information is stored in Winnipeg. And one of the things that we're trying to do is, our two organizations, is get all of the stories that were told by the ones who were able to tell their stories, and they're stored in Winnipeg. But it's a challenge getting access to all those records. Because one of the things we want to do is to bring all those records back to our territory and eventually hire a writer or two to take a look at all of the stories and take out different themes. You know, sports, abuses, friendships, graduations, all different kinds of themes, so that our future generations will understand what happened to people like me and my wife, because we went there, and others. So those are some of the things that I wanted to mention in terms of trying to support each other and to make sure you do get a friendship center here, because it'll be worthwhile in the end. And it takes a lot of courage to sit around and listen to stories. And it takes more courage to take action. But that's where we need people to understand. A friend of mine always says you have to listen, you learn, then you act. Don't act first. Listen, learn, then act. Because we need to form a lot of allies in terms of changing the way the governments look at our people. You know, they passed TRIPA, which is the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act. And it just recognizes us as human beings, which they haven't really done. And it outlines that we have the right to self-determination. We already knew that. We have a right to self-governance. We already know that. We have a right to our land. We already know that. We have a right to the resources. We already know that. The problem is they pass laws to cut that out, so we don't have access and look after it the way we want it. I was just on a Zoom this morning listening to the Premier, because they're trying to pass Law 14 and 15, which gives Cabinet quite a bit of authority in taking away some of the roadblocks that are in the way for development. And he really didn't listen to our people that were on the call saying, slow down. DRIPA says you have to talk to us. You have to involve us in legislation you're putting in place. They didn't do that. They have documents that tell them what they're supposed to do with us. They don't do that. Same with the federal government. So it's, like I said, that's why we need allies to learn about us, how we want to try to leave a good world for our future generations, and your future generations. And then when it comes through collaboration, when it comes through working together for a good future for all of our children. So I'll leave you with that, and thank you.
Thank you, Geoff. ladies and gentlemen, Grand Chief Kat and spouse Nancy. Put your hands together one more time. Oh, that's a good feeling. That is a good feeling. Talking about the Friendship Center, land stewardship. Now, we're not talking land back, although I would love to. Me and Nancy actually had good conversations about that. Land back doesn't mean get off my land, Whitey. No, it doesn't mean that. It actually means let us work together at the table to decide and develop a relationship where Mother Earth is protected and the jobs and security of our economy is hand in hand like an eagle feather in that balance. I think that's a wonderful thing. Thank you, Chief, Grand Chief. You know, and then he talked about friendship centers, the mission. I was just there just a few weeks ago, and I ran into Elder Harold, and it was so cool because Elder Harold goes, like I said, hey, how long have you been here? And he points to the ceiling and he says, see that picture right there? That was drawn back in the early 70s. That's me. Wow. So think about that. Tonight, every one of you guys, in 20, 25 years, when we have a building bigger than this library, nothing against the library, I love it, but we'll even have a bigger place. And it's at Friendship Center. And you can say, I was there on the very first day.